Hello everyone, welcome back to the Spotlight. We are here again. Season is over. Brighton is out the way. A 2-0 win. I'm not going to dwell on that game because it's a nothing game. I didn't watch it personally. You'll be saddened to hear, I'm sure. But I've watched the highlights and I've watched other things about it. And from what I see is we were pretty much dominated for most of the game and we took a couple of chances. From what I've seen, Brighton should have been 2 or 3 goals up in the first half. The usual rigmarole with United. We get hammered and somehow we kept a clean sheet and then we went and nicked a couple of goals. Højlund's goal was pretty good. And fair play to him. Got it on the edge of the area. Nice goal, to be fair. And Dalot's goal, again, what is he? Again, this is some sort of tactic Ten Hag's implemented in the last few games where Dalot seems to disappear up front and gets on the end of through balls. I don't know what that's all about. I mean, why is he always playing as a second centre forward when Onana's got the ball or whatever? It's weird, but I mean, it worked for once the other day, so you can't complain. Decent finish. Yeah, and that's all I've got to say about the Brighton game, because really, today's video is about a couple of things. Sort of a season overhaul, overview, and comparing it to last season, and a list of reasons for Ten Hag to stay and go. Again, we're going to get into the Ten Hag conversation, and we'll get into that after. I don't want to dwell on it right now, but I want to get into these stats. So I've got a window up here. Hopefully you can see that. And this is this season. 18 wins, 14 losses, goals scored 57, goals conceded 58, -1 goal difference, and 9 clean sheets. Last year, and this is on the Premier League website, by the way, so official Premier League stats. This is not some bullcrap stats that are padding everything and making stuff up. This is the official Premier League statistics. 2023, 2 season. 23 wins, 9 losses, 58 goals. So we actually scored pretty much the same amount of goals. We just conceded less last year. 17 clean sheets. So double the amount of clean sheets. And 15 less goals conceded. What an interesting stat on here is, and we'll talk about Bruno Fernandes, because people say he makes the most chances in the Premier League. He's made 113 chances just this season, apparently, Bruno Fernandes. Well, let's have a look on the Premier League website. Apparently, our whole team, as in Manchester United, only created 60 big chances as a team all season. So, take that with a pinch of salt. I mean, to me, this chance creation thing's a load of rubbish. If you make a 5-yard square pass and someone shoots from outside the area and it goes to the keeper in a trickle, that is not creating a chance. You need to, for me, a big chance is a one-on-one, a one where somebody should have scored, and chances created are all classed as in like, oh, you put a corner in and someone gets a header and it goes 4 yards wide. That's not creating a chance. That's putting a corner in. So here we go. Big chances created, only 60. And 2023, we created 84. So all of a sudden, we were 24 big chances down on last season. And again, people who say Bruno Fernandes, and I know not every chance creation's on Bruno Fernandes, but most people's justification for Bruno Fernandes is that he creates all of our chances. Well, we've only created 60 big chances as a team over the whole season. So maybe that'll slight your angle on that one slightly. Shooting accuracy this year, 35%. 22% cross accuracy. Again, pretty much the same last year. Poor, I would say. Crossing accuracy is diabolical, isn't it, really? Set piece and crossing accuracy of our team is atrocious. And again, that's on Bruno. He takes 90% of all the corners and all the free kicks in attacking areas and very rarely beats the front man. But that's just some stats, you know, just to show over the last 2 seasons when people are banging on about Ten Hag, the regression look, 1,000 less passes, half the amount of clean sheets, more goals conceded, way more goals conceded per match. Look, it's 1.13 last season, over 1.5 goals a game were conceding this season. It's absolutely crazy. The problem is, and this is getting onto the Ten Hag chat, right, is people say about Klopp and they say about Arteta and they came 8th. Most time that was in their first season and they progressed from there. There was some stats of Arteta. I think it was on Match of the Day at the weekend. But every season he got more and more and more points leading up to where they are now. There was no point he went from a high to a low like we have this season. There was progression year in, year out under Arteta, and that's where Arsenal are now. So I will get into the Ten Hag chat now. I don't want to dwell on it because a lot of it I've been over in other videos, but here is my man, old Eric. I don't know who he's pointing at. Probably the door. Pardon the pun, but I mean, if he stays, to me, it'd be a miracle. And I just want to say, I think I've said it before, but the thing is, even if Ineos want to keep Ten Hag, and yes, in the last couple of games we've been a bit better because he's shored up the midfield. Again, against Brighton, Amrabat was crap. Everyone, after 2 games, raving about Amrabat, he was crap against Brighton. It's not about Amrabat being good. It's about him shoring up the midfield formation. Bruno's way better as a false 9 because when he's in the midfield 3, that's where he plays anyway. So get him out of the midfield 3 and put him in one of the front 3 positions if we're keeping Bruno. He's no good in midfield because he vacates it completely. Like I say, I've got a list here and I should have wrote it down so I could have got it on screen, but I haven't. So I'm going to go through a few things and a few things we've been over in the preview there, the overview of the season. But 14 losses, the most losses we've ever had in a season. Out of the Champions League before Christmas. 60 points. 1 point above our worst ever season in Man United history. And that was when we had 3 managers, Ollie, Ranić and Carrick. So you expect it to be bad because we've gone through 3 different managers in a year. So technically it's the worst season ever by a single manager in charge of the team. No style of play in 2 years, and people use the excuse of injuries, this, that, the other, and whatever else you want to say. He's had 2 years to implement a style of play. I don't see one. I see a wide open midfield with 5 or 6 people up front and 4 people sat at the back. Schoolboy Sunday League tactics. And you can blame the players. Maybe they don't want to get back. But to me, it's not on the... Yes, the players are lazy and they're not, and they are to blame for a lot of this. But the tactics of us being wide open and playing end-to-end football, and I've said this before, when you play end-to-end football and have no possession, you cannot expect players to be on their 18-yard box and then our 18-yard box, and theirs, ours, theirs, ours, theirs, ours. Of course they get tired. Of course they can't do it. Of course they look sluggish. There's no possession in that team whatsoever. And I get it, part of it is because most of the team are not good enough to keep the ball. But also, a lot of it is on Erik Ten Hag and the way he wants to play football, that is completely and utterly ridiculous for a top Premier League side to be playing football like the way Man United have played football for this season up to 3 games to go, where I think, like I said last time, he's crapped himself, goes, I can't lose these 3 games or I'm 100% getting the sack. So he shored the midfield up, like we've all been saying for 6 or 8 months, and guess what? We got 3 okay results. 2 decent results, and we played all right against Arsenal. Shock. I mean, you, me, Tom, Dick and Harry, the dog, and the snail that's just been run over by the car outside my house. Could have fixed that 8 months ago. And it's taken this guy here 35 games to realise that he can't continue that ridiculous midfield he's been playing all year. I mean, what else have I got down here? He's spent 450 million on players. He's bought and loaned 16 over his time here. I'm not going to go into him. If you want my opinion on all of Ten Hag's signings and loan signings and what I think of them, go watch a video or two ago where I go through every single one. But I would argue that not one of them has been an actual success. Quickly, Haaland. Højlund. A young 20-year-old prospect for £70 million. He scored 15 or 16 goals this year. It's an okay return, but he had one purple patch and everyone's classing them like, I think, how many Premier League goals did he score? I'm not sure, but it wasn't 15. He scored 5 or 6 in the Champions League, which people say, yeah, it's the Champions League. But I've said it before, the group stages of the Champions League are not good quality. A lot of the time, they're against poor teams. It's not till you get to the knockout stages of the Champions League you come up against good teams. He should have been a 30 or 40 million pound striker. And if he'd have played at that money and scored however many goals he scored, you'd take it. But for £70 million, and yes, he shouldn't be playing every game. He should be a backup striker, this, that, and the other. The facts of the matter is, we spent 70 million quid on it, and he's been our number one striker. Whatever you think of Højlund, prospect, he's got it, he's not got it, whatever, it's not good enough for the amount of money we spent on him. Martinez, everyone raves about Martinez again. We'll get him back, or we'll be changed. We'll get that line up the pitch. We can pass out from the back, this, that, and the other. 55 million quid. He's not played for a year. Call it unlucky. Call it injury prone. Call it what you want. He has not played for us all season. So you can't say it's been a good signing when he's been here for 2 years, and one of the years he's not played for us. Everyone's talking about Mount, and he costs the same money as Martinez, and he's been out all season, but Mount gets hammered. Let's put things into context here. Martinez has been out for a whole season. So has Mount. They both could be good signings for Man United, but from the start of next season to Christmas at least, they need to prove they can stay fit or they need to be sold. He's got his ongoing contract issues, Ten Hag. He's got 1 year left on his deal. To me, if you keep him, you've probably got to give him a new contract. And with all the things I've just listed below that, and there's more on there, I'll just go through them now. 83 goals conceded over the whole season between the Premier League, the Champions League and everything else. -1 goal difference we've finished on. The worst we've ever done. And we finished behind Chelsea. After mocking Chelsea all season and how crap they are, and I know they've just sacked Poch, they finished 2 places above us in the league. Let it sink in. Let it sink in that Chelsea, who practically have been the take the mick boys of the whole year, have finished 2 places above us. And people think Ten Hag's still the man. Okay? Going on to his contract issues. Like I say, he's got a year left. Are you going to give him a 3-year contract and risk that he spends 100, 200 million quid in the summer and we see no progression or improvement and he gets sacked at Christmas? Then you've got him tied to a 3-year contract and you've wasted another summer window on him. Because he cannot continue like he has been. He will be sacked if he continues with the results he's had this year. It is absolutely unacceptable as a Man United manager, whether the players are behind you or not, to be getting the results he's been getting. Some of you are probably younger than me. You don't remember it. But to me, personally for me, if you do not make the Champions League as a Man United manager, you should automatically be up for the chop. That should be the bare minimum standard. If you're not qualifying for the Champions League, you should be questioned about your job. And like I've said before, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the Rangnick season was very similar to this one, if not maybe slightly better, slightly worse, however you want to look at it, very similar to this one. In fact, some of the stats of this one are worse. And everybody wanted Ole to be sacked. And Ole even was not a good Man United manager. I wanted Ole to be sacked. He was absolutely useless. But for some reason, somebody who's doing as well as Ole did, or potentially worse, at least Ole had a concrete style of football, which was sit back and counter, which worked, and we scored goals. We don't score goals under Ten Hag. I mean, it's crazy to think that I'm sat here thinking we would potentially have a worse manager than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But how can you argue this season has not been worse than that, or at least on par? But I want to get into some reasons why people might want to keep Ten Hag as well. But I think most of the reasons people want to keep Ten Hag is excuses. There's no real reason to say this is why we should keep him based on progression, style of football. This is what's happening with the club. It's all excuses because of what's going on in the background. One, people say there's no other managers to take. Well, let me have a little list here. De Zerbi, Poch, Tuchel, Amorim. There's Motta and Inzaghi in Italy. I'm sure they'd probably come to Man United if we coughed up enough money. And there's other lower managers that people mention, which I won't have because I think the job's too big. But I think the one at Feyenoord, or was that the one who's gone to Liverpool? I don't know. But there's plenty of managers out there. There's Southgate, there's Potter. Nobody wants them, but people say there's nobody to replace him. I've just named 6 or 7 names that are out there that could replace him at the click of a finger. They're not even in a job. And you can't argue that they would do any worse because you can't get any worse than this season has already been. So all you can hope is, the second thing is, it can't be any worse. He's only got a year left on his contract, so let him go. But will Ten Hag want to stay at Man United without a new contract? Personally, I don't think we can give him one till he proves there's progression. And I think that might be a sticking factor for Ineos, because why would you give him a 3-year contract after the season we've just had? The other one is he needs time. Time for what? We've regressed under Ten Hag. His first year was great. His second year has been the bottom of the bottom pretty much. Like I was saying about Arteta before, go look at his stats. Every year Arsenal progressed under Arteta points-wise. We've regressed massively this year. Ineos. Don't know what to do. Like, just keep the ship stable for a year because we're getting Ineos in and they've got a lot of other stuff to do without changing the manager. Is another people's thing. Well, to me, if you're going to sack him, now's the perfect time because the whole club is under huge change. So why wouldn't you change the manager now? They've changed everyone above him. So if you're going down that route of massive head of the business changes, you do it now while they're all gone and you all start afresh from this summer. I don't understand the argument of keep him a year and see what he can do under Ineos. Because again, it's contract problems, and if Ineos want to start afresh, just start afresh. And then there's the one saying he's got us to 2 cup finals in 2 years, won the Carabao Cup last year. Really, getting to a final don't matter, does it? Unless you win it. If he beats City at the weekend, then you think, oh, yeah, maybe, right, we'll let him off. He's won us a cup 2 years in a row. Fine. Give him the bit of extra time that he might need to build us. But the likelihood of us beating City is absolutely next to none, isn't it, really? So what are you going to do then? No cups, 8th out of the Champions League before Christmas. You're going back to all these stats I've said before. But I would like to know some positive reason, and I keep saying it in all my videos, why you want to keep Ten Hag that's not some sort of excuse or some structure-based reason, or there's no one available, because there's loads of managers available. There might not be the one you want specifically, but they're out there, and you can easily argue based on stats that they wouldn't do any worse. Are you prepared to potentially give Erik Ten Hag a 3-year contract and let him spend another couple of $100 million this summer for it to all come crashing down by Christmas? You tell me. And I've been going on for 20 minutes now, so I want to wrap it up with just talk on Marcus Rashford. Oops. Oh, Rashford here. Been left out the England squad and people making a massive deal out of it. Well, I've got a few things to say on this. One, he's never been a regular starter for England. Yes, he's been in the squads and he plays some friendlies and some whatever that stupid friendly tournament they have for qualification for it, the National League or whatever it's called, Nations League. But in actual tournament football, Rashford doesn't play. I think I saw a stat the other day, out of the last 22 tournament games, group stage and knockout stages, Rashford started 2. So everyone says he's a Southgate fanboy and Rashford's he's well on Rashford. He's not. He doesn't start him. And it's not a big story because, one, he's never been a regular starter for England under Southgate. And 2, on form, he is 6th, 7th, 8th in the queue behind all the other forwards in the England line. Kane, Saka, Foden, Palmer, Maddison, Grealish. I mean, that's 6 there. And people say Grealish has had a worse season. Grealish has been injured for a load of the season. And the difference with Grealish is when he gets the ball, he wins free kicks and stuff and keeps us up the pitch and passes simple. Rashford runs and loses the ball and don't win anything. It's not all about stats. Grealish is unbelievable at keeping the ball on the opposition's 18-yard box and winning free kicks and set pieces in very dangerous areas. He's miles better than him. I mean, you could even argue Sterling's better than him. I'm probably missing. There's Gordon. Gordon's miles better than him. Absolutely miles better than him. Then you've got Watkins. You've got Tony. You know, there's so many people that are in front of Rashford right now. It'd be very, very, very interesting to see what happens with Rashford over the summer because, one, I think he should leave, and I've said it loads, and I've said it not just this season, but in prior seasons. We should have sold Rashford ages ago. He's not as good as people think he is. Will Ineos have the bottle to sell him? if somebody comes in with an okay offer. I think if anybody offered 60 mil plus for Rashford, you've got to take it. On his wages, you're not getting 100 million for him. So if you're 60 mil plus, get him out of the club, get all the media hype, the raving and ranting about the Rashford this, Rashford that, out of the club, and we haven't got to deal with it anymore. All season, he's been a problem on the pitch and off it. Going out, interviews, commenting on Twitter, snidey remarks, arguing with fans. Then when he's on the pitch, he's walking around, he's giving the crowd the old chirpy chirp when he's done, he scores 1 goal in 10 games. He's giving it the mentality thing when he's walking around the pitch. There's all the clips out there of him wandering about. You know, now he's been left out the England camp. Do you think it'll finally give him the kick up the backside that he needs to realise his career is going down the pan and he'll refocus and come back stronger? But I think a focused, on-form Rashford still isn't one of the best forwards in the league because he's one-dimensional. He's an over-the-top pace player who can finish. And if we are trying to become a team that play on the front foot and on the front foot press and win the ball back in their last 30 yards, he's not the player for it because 1, he's not good at pressing and 2, he's not good in possession. So regardless of whether Rashford reclaims his form, if we're going down this high press, high intensity, high action football, he's not the player for it anyway. So this is my message to Ineos and Man United. No disrespect to Rashford. And he's been a servant to the club. And to be fair to him, through all the hardship and the grief that he gets, whether it's criticism, hate, whatever you want to call it, 99% of the time, he goes on the pitch and he plays. And there's players in that team that don't even do that. So I'm not going to say it's all bad about Rashford. He might not try hard enough when he's on the pitch, but at least he's on it. Whatever you want to say about that. Because moving on to that topic of people who don't even go on the pitch is my old mate, Luke Shaw. What would you do with Shaw? I can tell you now exactly straight away what I would do with him. Sell him in an instant. So yeah, Luke Shaw. I think I just had my mic on pause, but I'm back again now. So I saw a stat the other day. Over 10 years that he's been at the club, he's only been available, I think, for 44%. Or he's missed 44% of all United's games in 10 years. Jose Mourinho wanted rid of him 6 years ago. He has not basically played all season. I know he's not fit for the Cup. He's in the England squad. To me, if he goes on that England camp and plays, it is a joke. 100% the club, with his injury record and him being so unavailable for us all the time, and he's been out all season, the club should not let him go to England. Should say, you're staying here, you're getting fit for next season. And if you go on England camp, you're getting sold. I mean, I would sell him anyway. But there's no way we're going to sell Shaw because we haven't got any left backs. So he's going to stay, but he's completely and utterly, totally unreliable. People hammer Anthony Martial for his injury record. Well, Luke Shaw's is as bad, if not worse, and for some reason, it's okay for Shaw to be allowed to stay at the club because sometimes when he plays, he's decent. And I'm just sick of it. You can't, it don't matter how good you are. If you're not available, there's no point. You could have a 25-year-old Lionel Messi roll up at Old Trafford, but if he's only available for 4 games a season, what's the point? 10 years, 10 years of failure. No, barely any trophies, nothing. He's injured all of the time. Why are we even contemplating keeping him? If we are a ruthless club that wants to progress, we cannot have Luke Shaw as left back next season. He's got to be sold. And that's just my take on it. Like, if he goes on England duty and he's fit for England, it's an absolute joke if the club allow him to go. Just imagine if he gets injured again at England camp and we've allowed him to go there when he's just on his way back. It's absolutely pathetic. Out all season, you let him go to the Euros. If I was in charge, if I was in EOS, he wouldn't be going. I wouldn't care what he said. I'd be like, if you want to go there, you're going. We're selling you. Bye. See you later. You're no use to us anyway, apart from propping up the injury and medical room. And regardless of what his injuries are, whether serious, not serious, whatever, it's not acceptable for him to be sat on the bench or the injury medical room for 50% of his United career in 10 years. So to me, buy Luke Shaw, buy Rashford. Everyone says we're going to have a clear out. The clear out would happen anyway. People like Maguire, McTominay, Amrabat, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, they're all players who will naturally just go over the next couple of years because they're not good enough. But people like Luke Shaw and Rashford are held in high regard in the fan base and high regard by managers as 2 of our better players who are not performing or injured all the time. For me, if you got rid of Shaw and Rashford, it's a statement that the standard of the club is changing. Getting rid of Wan-Bissaka, Maguire and Varane and Casemiro because they're old and that lot. They're all easy deals to do. They're not that, they'll naturally just go away. The real clear out starts from the top with players like Shaw, Rashford, Bruno, and the big hitters at the club. Personally, you all know I don't like Bruno, but I wouldn't sell him this summer, to be fair. I would keep him for 1 more year, but I would not be building a team around a 30-year-old Bruno Fernandes. And that is that. There's the Ashworth tapping up scandal. Quickly, my opinion on that is just pay them 20 million quid and get Ashworth. We're spending 80, 90, 100 million on players that don't play and sit on a bench or a crap. And we won't spend 20 million quid to get someone who's supposedly going to transform our whole club. I mean, just pay the money, man, and get him out. And that's all I've got to say on Ashworth. And that is all I've got to say today because I've been rattling on for 30 minutes now. And I will see you on the next one, whenever it is. I'm not sure right now. Probably after the transfer window's opened. And we've got some news about who we are and aren't getting. Because right now, I don't believe any of the rumours. It's all hearsay. Poosh.